Headlines. With more than 32 million Omani Riyals, the tender board awards a number of projects and additional works that complement development projects in multiple fields. A ceremony is held to hand over newly built houses to the citizens in the village of Minda in the Wilaya of Al-Hamra. And on the eve of the Peace Council meeting in Washington, the United Nations Security Council calls for the ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip to be transformed into a permanent truce. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. With more than 32 million Omani Riyals, the tender board awarded a number of projects and additional works that complement development projects in multiple fields. The projects approved by the board during its first meeting of the year included the construction of 2 flood protection dams on Wadi Ansab in Muscat Governorate, the supply of peritoneal dialysis equipment, the provision of consultancy services for the design of the 3rd phase of the sports stadium in the integrated sports city, the construction of the coastal soil road Rakhyut Dalkut in the Far Governorate, as well as additional works for the construction of the tunnel at the intersection of 10 and 18 November Street, in addition to the maintenance of asphalt road in Tawi'atair, Wadi Rakha and Jabjat in the Far Governorate. The meeting was presided over by His Excellency Dr. Khamis bin Saif Al Jabri, Minister of Economy and Chairman of the Tender Board. In the mountainous village of Minda in the Wilaya of Al-Hamra, a ceremony was held to hand over newly built houses to the citizens. It is meant to provide stability and facilitate movements for these eligible. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Planning oversaw the construction of these homes, which will contribute to providing stability for those who qualify. The ceremony was held under the auspices of His Excellency Sheikh Hilal bin Saeed Al Hajri, Governor of Dakhiliya. Several member states of the United Nations Security Council called for the ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip to be transformed into a permanent truce and considered Israel's efforts to expand its control over the West Bank threat to the prospects for a 2-state solution. Rosemary DiCarlo, United Nations Under-Secretary General for Political Affairs, urged the Security Council to assume its responsibility to work collectively to implement the 2nd phase of the ceasefire in Gaza and to advance efforts toward a political track leading to a 2-state solution. This comes on the eve of the first meeting of the Peace Council established by U.S. President Donald Trump to discuss the future of the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian ambassador to the United Nations condemned Israel's decision to begin a land registration process in the occupied West Bank and called for an immediate reversal. Riyad Mansour, in a statement read to the media along a group of United Nations diplomats, stated that
Palestine belongs to the Palestinian people. It is not up for grabs, and it is not for sale. It is not a land without a people. And despite all its efforts, Israel will not transform us into a people without a land. The latest Israeli decisions mean we have reached the end of the road. Now annexation is in full display. Unchallenged, it will define our region's future and doom it. Annexation is a breach of the UN Charter and of the most fundamental rules of international law and of UN resolutions, including those of this Council. It strikes at the heart of the New York Declaration. It is a breach of President Trump's plan and constitutes an existential threat to ongoing peace efforts. The Security Council has a duty to act, and all states who are seeking peace must act.
That was Riyad Mansour, Palestinian ambassador to the United Nations. The United Nations Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights expressed its concerns about the risk of ethnic cleansing being perpetrated by Israeli occupation forces in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. In its report, the United Nations Office stated that the intensified Israeli attacks and the systematic destruction of entire neighborhoods in the Gaza Strip are nothing more than an Israeli step aimed at creating a permanent demographic shift in the Strip. The report noted that between the end of 2014 and the end of 2025, more than 460 Palestinians, mostly children, died due to severe starvation in the Gaza Strip. As for the occupied West Bank, the United Nations report indicated that the occupation forces continue to engage in a systematic and unlawful practices against Palestinians through arbitrary arrest, torture, and the extensive illegal demolition of the Palestinian homes. The report stated that these practices are used to systematically discriminate against the Palestinian people, suppress them, and impose control and domination over them. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that the latest round of U.S.-sponsored negotiations in Geneva did not achieve sufficient result. He indicated that a number of sensitive political issues and potential settlement points remain unresolved. Zelensky explained that his country is looking forward to holding a new meeting this month, emphasizing the importance of the participation of European countries and the United States in any future negotiations process. He stressed the need for clear guarantees to achieve tangible progress in the political process and end the Russian war on Ukraine. The Royal Navy of Oman ship Sada participated in the International Fleet Review 2026 held in the Visakhapatnam, India. This participation highlighting the Sultanate of Oman's active maritime role and its commitment to strengthening international strategic partnerships. The event, organized by the Indian Navy, gathered navies from around the world, which highlighted the discipline and strength of every participating one and enhancing exchange of expertise and joint work in a professional environment. A solar energy project with a capacity of 1 megawatt was launched in the Wilayah of Sohar in a step that will program the transition towards renewable energy in the industrial sector, which will contribute to depend on electrical energy and reduce its costs and emissions. It will contribute in providing the project facilities with large quantity of its electric needs, which helps enhance the operational efficiency and reduce dependence on traditional energy resources, besides reducing the operational costs in the long run. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. With more than 32 million Omani Rials, the tender board awards a number of projects and additional works that complement development projects in multiple fields. A ceremony is held to hand over newly built houses to the citizens in the village of Menda in the Wilayah of Al-Hamra. And on the eve of the Peace Council meeting in Washington, the United Nations Security Council calls for the ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip to be transformed into a permanent truce. With that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin. And as this first day of Ramadan concludes here in Oman, Muslims at home and around the world embrace a season of reflection and devotion. May Allah grant us mercy, forgiveness, and acceptance throughout this blessed month. Good night.